This episode is going to speak to your soul, and we're talking about administration, business, the ups and downs of what it really means to be a leader, but also the things that you say over yourself. And I have a teacher that says the way you speak about the work is the way the work will be. But we have Dr. Jamil Northcutt, and he has an incredible story, but an incredible experience over 2 decades in leadership. And I'm telling you, if you're an athlete or a leader in any endeavor, you're gonna wanna watch this show all the way to the end. And you know when I say that, it's the truth. I cannot believe we got one of my greatest examples of manhood, brother, friend, doctor. I mean, this guy is brilliant, and I am not just saying that. Dr. Jamil Northcutt, I can't wait for you guys to meet this man and hear the wisdom that comes from his mouth, but just who he is, authentically speaking. One of the most genuine men I have ever met, and I'm glad that he is a part of my life. It means so much to me. Doctor, welcome to Aspire Higher with Charles and Yvana Bailey.
What's up, Charles and Yvana? It's always good to be in you guys' presence, and I'm happy to be able to join the podcast and talk a little shop today.
Let's talk it, man. Let's
you
talk.
guys got a beautiful platform that you've created. It's
Thank
just been good to see it start and kind of where it is now. Very
Thank
professional. It looks great. You guys look great.
Thank you,
so
sir.
I'm looking forward to this conversation today.
Man, we're so grateful, man. So tell a few things about yourself. I know I've told them that you're a doctor, but man, your career in professional major league sports and everything else, please share a little bit about your journey.
Well, let me start with the core.
Go for it.
Great parents, great mother and father, Sammy and Teresa Northcutt. They raised me from a place called Tullahoma, Tennessee. Even before my parents, man, I had a great set of grandparents on both sides. I didn't get a chance to meet my grandfather on my mother's side, but my granddad on my dad's side was an amazing man. He only had like an 8th grade education, which was unique. Because again, you start thinking about the society that we live in and the era that they grew up in. They didn't really get a chance to work in like these type high-level executive-like roles. So, both my grandmothers were maids. And then my grandfathers, on my mom's side, one worked on the railroad. And then my granddad, my father's dad, he worked as a mechanic.
Wow.
And so one of the things that he used to always tell me was about, doing things the right way, but also he preached education. Every time I saw him, make sure you get your education, make sure you get your education. So my drive for education and learning kind of comes from my grandfather on my dad's side. And then my dad and my mother, they're just incredible people who love folks. They have a spirit of love. Both have now pastors, but just really hardworking people. My dad was a college athlete. He was the first player to integrate Tullahoma baseball in my high school, as well as Middle Tennessee State. He doesn't really get a lot of credit for that, but he broke kind of the color barrier at MTSU.
Incredible.
And just a really hardworking man that's done a lot. Was there for my family. I saw him be a major provider. And then my mom, on the spiritual side, she just was a gentle spirit. She kind of got that from her mother. She's kind of a matriarch for the whole entire family. She had 10 brothers and sisters. Here she is, the youngest, but in some sense, she's kind of like the wisest one.
Wow.
And so it's just amazing. They're just 2 great people. I got a brother and sister who I grew up with, who were older. I'm the baby of the family. And obviously, had a chance to do some things throughout my life. Again, where we met, was at the University of Mississippi. So I was in Tennessee, signed with Ole Miss, ended up signing a scholarship to come to Ole Miss, the University of Mississippi. And, that was a great thing for me. I met a lot of great people, including you and Yvana. But I also met my wife.
Oh, yeah. Talk about it.
And that's the crown jewel.
Yes, sir.
The reason I told her that's the reason I guess I was assigned to Ole Miss was to meet you. And so my wife and I, we've been married for 17 years. We got 4 beautiful children, Kellen, Layla, Mackenzie, and Ava. They're 13, 11, 8, and 6.
Wow.
So, we're busy.
Oh, yeah, sure, man. Absolutely.
And
So people
so,
don't know when you were in college, you looked a little bit like Jaheim, man. You had the braids on and everything.
there you go. Hey, man, I'm trying to hold on to what I got right now. You gave me a recommendation when I was in Orlando last time. And I'm telling you, and I did it. I got it. I just hadn't used it yet. I feel like I've been just running to and fro, man. You told me about the keeps.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
The hair powder. That's right, brother.
I'm trying to keep all I got. I got a little bit. I'm still holding on. I can still get my headline. My beard's on fleek. We don't even say fleek right now. Do we? I guess I need to say I'm outside.
Yeah.
But anyway. But nonetheless, I met Ole Miss. It's a lot of great people that I meet, including Kim, which I gave you. I kind of fast forwarded to what that ended up being. But met a lot of great people, which led me to be able to go work at the Southeastern Conference. I didn't get drafted into the NFL.
Yeah.
Had a dream and a desire there, and we all deal with that transition of when the whistle blows and the air is out of the football or whatever ball that you play. So that I kind of went through that a little bit, but at the same time too, I was blessed. I had players of fraternity. I was the president of Pole Mark of that.
Yes, sir.
I was the president of the Student Athlete Advisory Committee. I was the president of the M Club. So I had a lot of leadership things going on, not really realizing what it really meant. And I kind of fell into some opportunities. And so ended up doing an internship with the Southeastern Conference in Championship Administration and Marketing. Met people like Charlie Hussey, who's the chief operating officer there. He and I work hand in hand, day to day. Mark Womack, who's the executive associate commissioner there. Other folks, Greg Sankey was associate commissioner. Now he's the commissioner of the SEC.
Incredible.
But also a gentleman by the name of Mike Slive, who was phenomenal. And I would fail to mention another gentleman by the name of Brad Davis. But the person who brought me into the internship was a lady by the name of LaRonica Conway.
Wow.
And I really want to give her a lot of kudos just for being a mentor, a person that recognized me in 2001 when she was at the NCAA at a leadership conference down in Orlando. And we stayed in touch, and she reached out when there was an opportunity, and that opened the door through a gentleman by the name of Derek Horn.
Derek Horn, yes,
executive associate AD now at Temple. He was a great mentor of mine as well. And then other people like David Harris. David Harris is now the athletic director at Tulane. So it's just really good people that I was around that kind of opened the door for me to do that internship at the Southeastern Conference. From there, I was there like 11 months, and then I got immediately into the National Football League.
Wow.
I'm in the front office working for the Kansas City Chiefs. I did player development, football ops, player personnel. From there, I met tons of people, which we'll talk about later, I'm sure.
Yes, sir.
From there, I ended up coming back to my alma mater to be an assistant AD for internal operations. I did that for 6 years. Then I ended up leaving, going back to the NFL to work for the Cleveland Browns for a couple. That led me to the NFL office, where I was the director of football administration. I did a stint there, and then then that led me to the NCAA. Then it brought me to Major League Soccer, where I just finished up being an SVP, and now I'm a founder and CEO of my own company called Strategic Transitions Advisors. So here we are.
Gosh.
Here we are.
I mean, but then you spoke through all that. That was over 2 decades of leadership in sports and business and entertainment
and administration.
Oh my God.
That's real.
And the type of life you must live when you can just kind of breeze through that. Yeah, I kind of did all this and then I was running this, and by the way, I actually
SVP.
Yeah, I was the senior, vice president of all the Major League Soccer, right? Yep. And then I'm here.
Yeah.
Hey, don't be fooled now. Hey, it's a terrain.
Yeah, talk about it.
Sure. Life is a terrain.
Talk about it.
There's transitional points there. There's points of I don't want to use the word failure, but learnings, that you learn, things that you find out, and it's just, we all deal with these transitions. There's death involved. Yeah. There's death to yourself. There's death to friends and family and other people that you have to get through. There's relationships, dynamics. There's assumptions that you have when you're, a young pup coming up that you find out. And then there's changes in roles and routines. So you gain wisdom throughout these years of experience, and I'm still learning. I don't profess to know everything, but I do want to be wise. I do want to get understanding each and every day. But life can bring you these challenges. Sometimes people look at where you are, but they don't really understand. They don't understand your story and all that it entails. There's a cost. To whatever it is. Nothing's for free.
That's right. They're not just handing it out.
There's a cost to things that you get a chance to do. So, but I thank God for all of it, because it's made me who I am right now, and it's obviously propelled me. You guys talk about propulsion.
All
That's
the
right.
time.
Propelled me to
Yes.
be doing, what I'm doing now.
Wow.
Wow.
So incredible.
Were you always let's go back to go forward. Were you always in the capacity of leadership when you were younger? And were there any indicators of you being a leader on those levels?
I kind of was. I can't really recall not being
Okay.
that.
Okay.
There are times where you are in situations, even playing, basketball, we had a church league, and you end up having some natural abilities,
Yeah.
that God has given you,
Yes.
and you just kind of step up and you just do it. It's not like I don't have to be told to do it.
Right.
It's just it just
Inherent.
feels right or
Natural to
natural.
you.
Yes.
I'm not trying to just take over, but I just, there's a moment sometimes when you take a step back and you're kind of waiting to see
Who's
what's
gonna
going
Who's
to
gonna
do
pick
happen.
it up? Right.
But then it's kind of like you just walk in your gifting,
Come on.
and you just have to step up, to just, be that leader or be that change
Right.
that's needed. And what leadership is not about I'm telling somebody what to
That's
do.
right.
Right.
That's right.
It's how are you making people better. I
That's
got
right.
another
Better.
mentor by the name of Kerry Casey. He talks about being a CEO, but he's like a chief. He says the acronym for that means Chief Encouragement Officer. And I love how he always positions that, because I feel like that's the definition of what we need to be doing. Like, how are we helping other people around us become the best that they can possibly be
Without
in
a
their
shadow of a
lives.
doubt.
Mm-hmm.
That's incredible. Well, then talk to us a little bit about the wisdom you've gleaned. So you have a Ph.D. in administration, right, in education. You can talk about some of those things. What are some things that you extract daily? What are some of the best lessons that you could almost present as strategies for someone who may be trying to discover their leadership or maybe their next step in life as you talk about transition? What are some things that you daily draw upon?
Yeah, a lot of what I draw upon kind of starts with the word of God,
Come on
right?
now.
So it's just, every morning I'm trying to get a proverb in. I'm trying to figure out what is the word saying, Lord, help me start my day. But again, that starts with me being
Right.
thankful, setting my mind. Again, in one of my talks I talk about commanding your cognitive.
now.
That phrase comes from one of my former pastors, R.A. Vernon, who talks about how you have to get yourself into a mental space. It's really having the understanding that as a man thinketh in his heart,
So is he.
so
Yes.
is he. But also out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaketh. So our thoughts end up becoming words. Then those words end up becoming actions. So how am I setting my mind up to be successful every day? And I start there because, again, the good book says he'll keep the imperfect peace, Isaiah 26:3.
That's
He'll keep
right.
the imperfect peace whose mind is stayed on me. So I try to set my mind on him. Then now that governs my actions,
Come on
how I'm
now.
treating people.
Right.
He's telling me who do I need to reach out to, who do I need to connect with, who do I need to encourage, because it's all about not what I'm trying to do. It's more about I'm here to be
That's
a
right.
giver. I'm here to be a resource. He's the source. How can I be a resource to give to other people? But through the giving and the service that I provide, that also creates another flow of income for me and opportunity and et cetera. So it really starts with that kind of train of thought before I begin my day. That's kind of how I'm setting myself up to be successful. Now, I'm not going to sit up here and make it up and say, hey, that's
Sure.
every day. Because there's some days I don't
And I
feel like
understand
doing
that
it.
too.
There's some days that people get on my nerves.
Come on now,
There's
talk about it,
days
doctor.
that I ain't feeling it. But at the same time, too, as former athletes, we all know we practice what? Discipline.
That's
All the
right.
time.
It is
When
discipline.
you don't feel like doing it,
You
the
do it
discipline
anyway.
kicks
That's
in.
right.
And now you understand those days where you don't feel like doing it, he gives you the strength. Again, he says his strength is made perfect in our weakness. And so those days where I don't feel like getting up and I don't feel like, fellowshipping like that too. And there are days I'm mad at him too. Like
I
hey, you
get it.
ain't worked this out like I thought it was going to be.
Oh, man. The worst
So,
feeling.
then it works out. But that's the kind of relationship that we have,
Yeah.
and I love our Heavenly Father because he always makes ways and always provides and always makes sure that I'm going to be taken care of no matter what the circumstances are. And sometimes when you're going through the fire,
Yes, sir.
you don't really feel that love
Yeah.
that you want, but he's always present.
Yes,
He says he's a
Right,
very
right.
present help
Right.
in the time of trouble.
All right, now preach him,
Come
doctor.
on.
That's why they call him doctor.
Doctor.
That's doctor.
Let me ask you this. What led you to believe that there is more for your life?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing. Your grandparents can kind of see things, right?
All the
Yes,
time.
And kind of
all
what
the
we
time.
say in
Yes,
the
yes.
early. is amazing. My mother told me, you know, my grandmother was on her deathbed, and she knew she was getting ready to pass on. She had lived with us for a number of years. She had, you know, cancer, and she's just such a sweet lady. And I'm 5 years of age, but I used to love spending time with my grandmother. Man, she's such a sweet lady. You know, and we come from humble beginnings. But she told my mom, she said, "Hey, you know, I believe Jamil is special. He's got some really great things he's going to do."
Yeah.
And my mama relayed that to me.
Right.
I think about it now.
Sure,
I never
right.
really thought about it when I was growing up, but you don't realize what the power of
the
those
words,
words,
Absolutely.
that's right.
you know, are.
Right.
I can vividly remember a time where I was riding with my father. He was picking me up from baseball practice. We had a little red truck, and I got in the car, and he said something to me, and he said it with some conviction that I really didn't understand, but it sunk in. And he basically said, "Hey son, don't let anybody tell you that you can't do anything."
That's right.
It's just something simple like
So
that.
simple. That's
And I
right.
never forgot that moment, you know. And now as I'm older, I start to realize that you got to be determined.
You
You
have
know,
to
you
be.
got to have a level of excellence and enthusiasm and intensity on the inside of you, to be committed to whatever it is that you're getting ready to do.
Yes,
That's
sir.
right.
And
That's right.
you know, my parents, they demonstrated that, but they also demonstrated, you know, the spirit, you know, of love. I had that good balance. And my dad was probably more intense.
Yeah.
My mom is kind of more gentle on the side. I guess that's why they work.
Yeah.
You know.
That makes sense.
But it's just those words, you know, the people in your lives who are telling you, again, it's my granddad saying, "Hey, get your education."
Right.
All those little things or drops along the way have kind of led me to where I am, and just really, that's very simplistic advice. But again, I've taken those seeds which they've sown into me through their words,
Right.
and I've cultivated them. And they meant something to me, and try to, you know, make something of myself.
That's incredible. You know, for our audience, I just want to share this with you, and I hope that this is meaning something to you. There are a few things I really have to highlight. One is the way that he has expressed education and the value of education. I have a niece that wrote me probably a year ago. She had graduated with her first degree. She now have a master's, and she's starting her own ventures. And she said, "Uncle Charles, I want you to know that you said something to me when I was 15 years old that stuck with me my entire life." She said, "We were bowling one time when we came to visit you, and you said, if you're going to go to school, make sure the one thing you get is an education. Do not go up there to get a degree." I said, "There are a lot of people that get degrees and they didn't learn a daggum thing. You go up there and you find yourself educated." She said, "From the moment that you said that, it changed the way that I saw life and how I valued my education." And she has become, and she was already brilliant, one of the most brilliant appliers of her knowledge. Right. And I want to challenge you, because some of you are questioning what you're doing right now, even with the education that you've had. You oftentimes don't see that there's still value in what you did learn. Some of us question whether or not we'll be using some of the skills, but the choice to use them is up to you. And you have to recognize that sometimes what you studied, you are using. Just because your letters in front of your name doesn't apply specifically to your job doesn't mean you're not applying the knowledge or the wisdom or the thinking and the mindset that is helping you become successful. So that's number one. Two, making sure that you're focusing on your words. I know Dr. Jamil is always talking about words. He's always talking to me about words. I'm sure he's going to share some more words that you should think about, especially as it speaks to yourself. But be conscious of things that other people may be saying to you. In fact, in our book, The Flight of Your Life, we talk about whispers in the wind. Sometimes things have been said around you and about you that are indicators of what is actually on the inside of you. I'll never forget my grandfather, my great grandfather would talk to me, and he was, super aged. And we would walk in to visit him in the country, right outside of Selma, Alabama. Yep, that's Selma. And he would grab me when I would walk through in a line of about 10 to 12 grandchildren. He said, "That boy right there, look at him. That boy right there. That boy right there." That's all he could say. But he knew that there was something in me that may not have necessarily been in the rest of my family. There's something like that in your life if you're opening your heart and your mind to see. Someone said there's something on the inside of you, and there's so much more for you to give. Doctor, before I go further, I want to ask you, what are some things that you do as a practice? Are there things that you could give to someone who's listening right now? You talked about the importance of words. Are there daily affirmations or things that you share or say to yourself that gets you in the right state of being?
Yeah, so there's faith and then there's faith, right?
Okay.
There's the faith that we have, where we believe whatever religion practice that we approach
Sure.
each and every day. I'm a Christian. I'm
Absolutely.
profess that openly. Right. So a part of my faith is that I have to believe in Jesus Christ, his death and his resurrection.
Yes, sir.
But at the same time, too, there's also faith. So within the context of these ancient texts that we're reading,
Yes.
there's a lot of wisdom.
Yes, sir.
No matter what book that you're looking at,
Yes, sir.
they're there. There's, you got what they call, the Dead Sea Scrolls.
That's
Folks
right.
talk about the Emerald
That's right.
Tablets. They talk about all these different things that have been here for,
Right.
again, people talk about, 2,000 years ago, but this stuff was happening
Yeah,
way
way
before then.
before.
For sure.
Texts have been passed down from generation to generation. So again, there's faith,
Yes.
but then there's also faith. So there's common principles that God created. And one of the things that he created was the power of words.
That's
He
right.
tells us in Proverbs 18:21 that life and death is in the power of the tongue. They that love it shall eat its fruit. So the question I would have for anybody would be, what fruit are you eating from the words from your
From
mouth?
your own mouth.
Mm-hmm.
From your own mouth. Then there's another proverb that says you've been ensnared by the own words, of your mouth. And so we have to be careful about what we're saying, what we're thinking about
right.
other people.
Yes, sir.
What we're saying about other people. Are we blessing them? Or are we cursing
Talk
them? Are we
about it.
blessing ourselves? Are we cursing ourselves? And what I've tried to practice is to really try to hone in on it. He's been dealing with me about that here recently, about what are you thinking? What are you saying out your mouth? So yes, the good book also says I'm talking a lot of scripture. I don't know why.
It's all right. It may be something that's necessary. That's what
But it
I say.
also says that faith cometh by hearing by the word of God. But if you apply that to other contexts within your life, again, I heard my grandmother say, hey, you're going to be great. I heard my granddad said, hey, you're going to do this. When we're parents, we encourage our kids. We tell them what we see in them. God also sees things in us, and other people see things in us.
Right.
So when I hear other people do that and I hear that, now I can believe it.
Yes.
So now I can take that and start believing it. So then I say it. So there's also a book called Think and Grow Rich.
That's
If you
right.
hadn't read
Yep,
it,
yep.
you
Napoleon
need
Hill,
to
one
check
of
that
the
out.
greatest
But
books.
they talk about audio suggestion. They also talk about affirmations and things that you say.
Right.
In Job, it says you shall decree a thing and it shall be established. And so we have to be mindful. So yeah, I say confessions in the morning. I got a whole thing that I write, and I continue to add to it. I don't know if we got time for me to share kind
give
of
us a
what
few.
I talk about, but I do. I say this. I think this might be helpful to people. Sorry, I'm pulling out my phone
No,
here.
that's all right. You do
Because
what you got to do, Doc.
I just sit here and I log them and write them on my phone. So sometimes when I start thinking about things throughout the day, I just add to it. If it may be something else that I want, but I tell you, whatever I put my hands to is blessed beyond measure. I'm blessed in my relationships with others. I'm a successful entrepreneur. I'm a successful entrepreneur, business owner. I'm anointed to do business at a high level. I attract multi-million-dollar and multi-billion-dollar business deals and opportunity. I'm not worried or fearful. I expect the best, not the worst. I'm prepared, disciplined, well-educated, discerning, wise, and understanding as I receive counsel and guidance from my God. I seek peace and pursue it. I'm not distracted by negative people or circumstances. I overcome these distractions and rise above all of them. I'm well respected in my industry. I'm favored in my industry. I decree people love working with me, for me, and in partnership with me. I'm a top consultant in my industry and other fields of human endeavor. I'm a successful deal maker. I receive wealth, gifts, favor, honor, well wishes, ambassadorial courtesies, opportunity, increase, love, and friendship from individuals in my field of human endeavor, family, associates, co-workers, employees, business partners, sponsors, friends, connections, municipalities, governments, leaders, and people of influence. I'm loved by God, my family, my friends, my associates, business partners, colleagues, all my children, schoolmates, teammates, siblings, and others that interact with me. I'm daily loaded with benefits. I cast down negative thought patterns, negative people, negative associates, and individuals. I'm a powerful being made by God. I can do all things I put my mind to through Christ who gives me strength. I'm strong in the Lord and the power of his might. I have perfect spiritual DNA. I'm a creator and fruitful in all my activities. As I desire more, I will get it. My best days are ahead. I see opportunity in every situation to execute God's will. I have a great marriage, spouse, and family. There are no limits to what I can do. I'm very productive. God is working all situations and opportunities for my good. I have renewed strength. My spiritual, physical, and mental faculties are healed and function with greatness as they were designed. I'm in my right mind. My mind is fortified and
Come
resolute.
on now.
Money comes to me as I use it to fulfill God's purpose. I'm not selfish or stingy, but giving and loving towards others. The gifts I give are loans to God. I have great returns on my investments. I'm a winner. Whatever I put my hands to prospers. I will do over X amount of dollars, and I say $1 million in business this year. I'll provide jobs, a great environment to work, an opportunity for people in my company to thrive and flourish. I'm not touchy, fretful, or resentful. I forgive those who have wronged me in any way. I let go of bitterness and resentment in any form, and I ask that God bless whoever my enemies may be.
All right now.
I cast down spirits of envy, jealousy, and pride wherever I do business, and I usher in an atmosphere of peace, collaboration, support, teamwork, and positivity. Wherever I work or do business, people celebrate my expertise and accomplishments just like I do theirs, and we work with joy, wanting everyone to succeed. Sickness and disease are far from me as I'm spirit-filled, and I walk in health, wealth, physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, economically, financially, relationally, socially, physiologically, kinetically, intellectually, ethically, and morally.
Whoa now.
And these are things that I say daily.
That's right.
If I pick up my phone and if something else comes to my mind, I'll go
It
write
goes to
something
the
else and
list.
just add to it. But it really is just about me. What am I confessing about? What I want, what I desire,
That's right.
and what I want to see manifest in my own life. And anybody can do that each and every day.
Man,
Wow.
that's incredible.
You know what's interesting is everything that you listed, I feel like you've always lived the overflow of that,
Always.
you know, and it's very tangible. Even when we're at MLS and we were able to see you operate with the athletes, that's something that I feel like everybody knows about you. It's like you have a well of what you prophesy into your
That's
life,
right.
you know, that is huge. So we honor the fact that you even do that, you know, that takes discipline
Sure.
to do it daily. Now, even with that, as you've touched the lives of business leaders and athletes and executives, how is it that you're able to continue to inspire them when you yourself have to be inspired all the time, especially working at that top level?
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to be vulnerable.
Talk beautiful.
Meaning that you
Beautiful
got to
word.
be vulnerable and you got to
Yeah.
ask for help. And
Come
sometimes
on.
I get myself in trouble because I can get drained.
Okay.
Yeah.
At times by that, but I got a group of people around me, you
I
know, and
love
that's when I
that.
talk about having really good friends, people that I can
Yes.
confide in.
Yes.
Now, there was a point in time for those married couples, particularly executives that are out there, you know, there are things that happen at work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there was a point in time where I would bring some of those things home to communicate because sometimes you
Yes.
can't really talk to people about things that you got
Right.
going on in
Of
your
course,
own
of
mind
course.
or with other people that you're working with because you
Mhm.
can't. Sometimes you have to deal with toxic people
That's the
who are just
truth.
difficult folks to deal with.
Right,
And
right.
so as an executive, that's one of the reasons why I set my company up too, is how can I be um, either a mentor to somebody or a sounding board for other people? Because I understand we all deal with frustrations
Yes, sir.
and situations and circumstances,
Right.
but sometimes you have to figure out what is for home, but also what is for something else.
Yes.
That's right.
You know, I've been in counseling before,
Yeah,
you know,
good.
with counseling professionals. I got other people around me that I talk to around that. So we need to be able to do that.
Yes, sir.
Going back to the good book, because it's just amazing. He says, confess your faults one to another
Come on.
That's right.
so that you may be healed.
That's
and a
right.
lot of times we don't do that. That's
Yeah, of
what
course.
prayer is.
Of
That's right.
course.
Prayer gives us an opportunity to unload
Why are you
Yeah.
teaching,
those
Doc?
things, to bring our burdens
That's right.
to God.
That's
Go
right.
ahead. Sound like you're going to say something,
No,
Charles.
I said you teaching, man. I wasn't gonna say nothing but preach on. Preacher, let's go now. You know,
So yeah, but that's kind of that's how you deal with it. You know, for
Yeah.
me, you know, I had to, because you can get low when you give out so much. Because
Yeah.
I
we know.
really, my only purpose in life, man, I just want to see people win.
that's
man.
that's where we are, sir.
I really do, man. I just
Try
want to see
so
people
hard.
win, man. I want people to be successful. And how can I help you get there?
Yes, sir.
Come on.
You know.
Yes, sir. Man, no, it's so amazing. I'm honored just to even be, as I said, a part of that circle of people. And you've always been such an inspiration to me. In fact, we've shouted you out multiple times on our show. I have particularly because you may not remember, but there was a time I visited you in your office back when you were in Ole Miss. This is, of course, our second time now coming to Path as I came back for a short period there. And I'll never forget, you said, Bailey, you leaned back in your chair. You're like, you telling me all this? You got to write your story.
Mm.
This is years before I even had a book. You said you got to write your story, man. You got to share it. And I never let it go. And that was the beginning of the book that we wrote together. It is now literally the flight of your life, where we talk about not just our wins, we talk about our losses and the hurt that we went through, and some of it on our own accord, because people also need to see that. And I think that's something that you can speak to too. And you really just did to some degree. It's not always high life. It's not always highlights. And even with all the accolades and all the achievement you have in every field of human endeavor, and it literally is almost every field of human endeavor. Yes. Holy gosh, he took that pledge literally. But sincerely, man, you know, there are moments where you say there are downtimes, there are struggles. You sought counseling, you sought help. You had a great friend group. You still keep that pillar of faith really strong in your life. But can you talk about some of those as far as you're willing to go? What are some of those downtimes for you where it really was a place that, you know, it was, I don't want to say dark, but where were some times where you really had to do some work to get yourself back to what everybody still sees and knows?
Yeah, you know, you start to realize when you, again, you know, they say hindsight is 20/20.
Sure.
And there were some down moments, you know, when I didn't get drafted to the NFL, you know, there was a time that was really dark. But a lot of that is culminated with, you know, your playing career, you're playing. I had I think 5 linebacker coaches, you know, when I was at Ole Miss. So we played 3 different defenses. It's not an excuse, but it's not the best situation to be in. Right. You know, when you're playing a sport, that's just tough. It's constantly turnover, constantly transition. So I learned through that. So I was deeply discouraged because you know you put so much time when you're a college athlete now. Especially like in one of the days of NIL when we played, not even close. You know they pretty much owned you. They owned your time. They owned your space. They did. When they told you to be somewhere, that's where you had to be. That's right. And so that was what we were dealing with throughout our careers there, and that's fine. So when you don't get to a goal that you set for yourself, and you have to make a decision: am I going to continue to pursue it, or do I need to make a change? Right. And I just didn't I felt led to make a change, but I dealt with that whole transition. That's what struck my passion for what I get a chance to do with athletes now, but also in the business world. Because again, I realized from my research and my studies of looking at athletes that transition is common to all of us. The definition of transition is any event or non-event. This is not my words, but Nancy K. Schlossberg and Mary Kay Anderson, which are just unbelievable researchers. But the definition, again, is any event or non-event that results in changes in relationships, assumptions, roles, and routines. We all go through it. Right. It's anticipated, and unanticipated things that happen. It's people thinking that they're going to graduate from college, but they don't because something happens. You know, somebody may get pregnant and it changes. Somebody may pass away. You don't have enough money to overcome whatever the situation is. Right. Yeah. And so that's part of what people have to deal with. And so it's just understanding that change can happen. It could be an injury. There's been injuries that have taken athletes out. Right. So that was one. We got fired when I was in Cleveland.
I remember that period.
You know, like that was horrible. Wow. you know what I'm saying? So I can laugh about it now.
Yeah, now.
But it hurt. You know, there was a dark time. You know, you go through a loss of confidence. You know, what did I do? What did I didn't? Woulda, shoulda, coulda. Right. You know, types of things. But you start to realize, hey man, it's just life.
That's life. Right. And life.
Life is it's a roller coaster ride. I tell guys when I'm speaking all the time to them and executives and whatnot, you know, you got to be clicked in. You got to have a core value system that's going to allow you to deal with the ups, downs, turns, twists, and things that happen. It could be having children. It could be graduating from school. Change is the only thing that's constant.
That's the only thing.
We're always moving in, through, and out of something and back into something else. And you got to understand that that's the sequence, you know, and you got to be able to understand and manage those changes when they come.
Yes, sir.
But that's where being steady and being disciplined, helps. A lot of people sometimes face adversity and they give up.
Yeah, of course.
But to anybody that's listening, we don't want you to give up. Just stay hanging there. Right. You know, it's the song by Kelvin Davidson, "Fight On."
Fight on.
You know, because you don't know what's on the other side. Right. So even in the book Think and Grow Rich, they talk about a gentleman who was fine. He was going out west to dig for gold.
Yeah, that's right.
And so he bought all the equipment. They invested in it. He had all the right things.
He had all the right things going.
And so this guy gets he loses the vein
Yeah.
of where to find the gold with the equipment. Then he sells it. He gives up.
He gives up.
And the moral of the story is, he was 3 feet from finding the prize.
And he sold it, and the person just moved over a few inches and became a multi-millionaire.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so it's just, these things happen in life all the time.
All the
We're
time.
right at the gate, and we don't go over the threshold because we quit. And life can bring you, it's tough. The winds are gonna come. We hear it in Matthew 7. He already tells us, what is your house built on?
Yeah.
He said the winds are gonna blow, the rains are gonna fall.
It's gonna come.
They're gonna beat up against that house, but you got to think about what house is going to withstand whatever is happening out there.
Ooh.
So
Man.
again, so those are two examples. We've got depth. I've seen other people deal with adversity that's impacted me. We've lost some people in our peer group who have passed in car wrecks.
Yeah.
People have just died of aneurysms. My family just went through a death experience with our Aunt Angie on my wife's side of the family. She's just a beautiful soul. That was really tough on our family, and tough for everybody. My wife has lost her biological father. So we've gone through these different things, but you understand that that's part of life, which makes me enjoy the things that I got.
That's
Yeah.
right. That's right.
The people and the time, that I'm spending with others. So, these are some adverse situations that I only go through. Other people deal with job loss.
right.
Everybody's dealing with that. Everybody's dealing with death. People are dealing with being disappointed. The other thing that disappoints us all too
Talk about it.
is when life doesn't go the way that you planned it out to.
About it, Doc.
Come on.
I don't think a lot of people are honest about
Not
that.
honest
When it
about it
doesn't,
at all.
Of course.
you got a plan of how you want it to look.
Please talk about it, Doc. That's right.
It don't necessarily really turn out that way. That happens.
It is gonna happen.
It happens. But again, when we read Proverbs,
Yeah.
Proverbs 16, he tells us in verse 3 to commit our activities to him and our thoughts will be established. But he also says in verse 9, Proverbs 16:9, a man plans his way, but the Lord determines his steps.
That's right.
That's right.
Then in Psalms, he says the steps of a good man,
Ordered.
are ordered. And so you have to realize that, hey, man, you're not really in control
At
as much
all.
as you think you are.
Really
Now,
Right.
you got to plan and
That's right.
visualize
Of
and
course.
prepare
That's right.
because the moment's going to show up, but it may not show up from the people you think it's going to show up
Right.
through
That's right.
or in the circumstance that you think it's going to be. So when we all are going through this life transition, we got to understand that things may not turn out like we want to, but we can't quit. We got to continue to persist. We got to surround ourselves. In transition theory, it talks about a system of liabilities and assets. You got to evaluate who you are. What is your situation? What kind of support do you have? But also, what strategy do you have to overcome the situations and the circumstances?
What are a few strategies just off the top of your head that you could give to someone? Even though I know you've talked about it, I was listening, you gave a lot. But if you had to say, hey, here's 2 or 3 things that you can actively do if you don't know where to start.
Yeah, I think it begins with relationships.
Yes, sir.
Life is about that. Actually, let me back up. It begins with your character, who you
Okay.
are.
Talk about it.
Again, you say, what kind of person are you?
Right.
Evaluate that. How did I grow up? What are some belief systems that I have in my mind that may be accurate or do I need to work on? Because we all have to have self-improvement. I'm not going to sit up here and say I'm perfect. I don't know everything. So I'm on a quest for learning, but I also have to be confident in myself. So you have to have a balance there with that. And so once you establish your core values, that's what's going to help you. And then the other piece is your relationships. Like, who are you connected with? Who are you around? Again, it's show me your crowd and I can probably show you your future or who you're going to be.
Right.
Based off of who you hang around with. So what kind of people are you around? Are they quality individuals? Are you the smartest person in the group all the time? I just left a conference this week, an investor club event, New York City Super Summit. These guys know way more about me than wealth building, and I like it like that. I love to be in a room where I can shut my mouth up and just engage and soak it up like a sponge. Because my goal is to try to apply those strategies to my life so that I can do God's will, particularly as it relates to the financial place, because I understand the importance of resources and being able to get that out into the earth to help people at the end of the day. So it just being in that space with these people, they know stuff about tax strategy. They know stuff about family offices and how to build wealth for your family over time. The conversation is so
High
different.
level. Yeah.
They're not talking about, I'm getting ready to go buy this.
Right.
They're talking about wealth, how we build wealth
Yes.
over time. And they also are talking about working with good people.
Right.
And that's what I love so much about it. So again, your relationships are critical. And so when I talk about your character
Yes, sir.
being important, and then your relationships, those kind of go hand in hand. So a scripture that kind of merges those two together is Proverbs 22:1.
All right now.
It says a good name is to be chosen above great wealth.
Yeah.
And then it says favor is better than silver and gold.
right.
Relationships open the door for
Come on.
opportunity.
Yes,
You
sir.
know
A lot of people don't realize that. So if
That's
you're burning bridges with people all the time,
Right.
if you're a turd
Yeah. That's
or
right.
a-hole,
Yep.
Yep.
folks don't want to be
Right,
associated
that's
with you.
right.
And sometimes as believers, we see people who seem to be getting ahead in that
Yes.
way. But again, we can't fret ourselves because of
No.
that.
That's
But
what
at
it
the end of the
says.
day, we have to realize that relationships
Mhm.
are critical. So I would say who you are,
Mhm.
your attitude, your character, your the people that you're around, your relationships.
Yes.
But then I also think you also have to have skill.
Mm.
Absolutely.
Ecclesiastes 10:10 says, if the axe is dull
Yeah.
and the edge unsharpened, more strength is needed, but skill will bring success.
Mm.
And so you need to be a skillful person. You need to be
That's right.
looking forward to being skilled, because then it says if you're really good at something, it says your gift
Will make room for
you
you.
see a man skillful in his work, he will not stand but before unknown men, he'll stand in the presence of kings. And it also says your gift will make room for
That's
you
right.
and bring you before great men. And then Abraham Lincoln, for those that are non-believers here, Abraham Lincoln says, give me 6 hours to chop down a tree and I'll spend 4 hours sharpening the axe.
That's right.
So you got to be
That's right.
figuring out ways to get better
That's right.
each and every day. If you don't know something, how you going to learn it, how you going to apply your skill, how you going to utilize your skill to kind of service others, because that's where you create value for yourself and opportunity. So I'm just going to stay on those three things. I got a lot more
No,
assets.
this is
I can
brilliant.
talk
We're gonna
about.
have to bring you back for
Those
episode
three
2,
things are
man.
really critical. Your character, the people that you're around, and then being skilled. And that skill can be applied to what am I putting my hands to? What do I know about something?
Right.
Like increasing your education about it, getting skillful in how you manage your money. But again, they're around 3 areas: your health, your finances, and your relationships.
Man,
Love it. Whew.
incredible, man.
That was loaded.
Yeah, I love it. That's
nuggets of gold.
and this is the way
nuggets
this
of
man
gold.
talks all the time.
Oh, my
And so this is
goodness.
why I look forward
Stay
to
around
hearing
good
from
people.
all
That's
the
it.
time.
Jamil, how your confidence is real. It's
Yeah.
so tangible. How do you impart that level of confidence within you to other people? Because I know we've been through life. I know we've been through transitions and ups and downs, but it seems like you have an anchor within a strong conviction of who you truly are, and it kind of just leads outward. So how do you continue that confidence building into lives?
Yeah, it comes from that power source.
That's
You know,
right.
it's not me. It just creates that energy and that momentum, and it's the attitude part of what we have. It's about having a good thoughts. But again, it is the genuine nature of I really want people to win, and it's really about asking that question: what can I do to help you? But it's more about how can I help you shine a light on who you really are.
Mm.
That's good.
Because a lot of people don't know that.
That's
Mm.
good.
And so if I can be the light,
Yeah,
the light is designed to expose
That's right.
Yes.
who you are.
Yes.
I really want to make people see who are
Who are you
you
really?
Right.
and the
right.
value that you have to give to the world,
Yeah.
because everybody has value.
Every
That's right.
single
And
person.
so it's really about getting people to understand that, encouraging them
Yes.
through my words of expression, and really pushing them too. Like I'll challenge folks
Come
too.
on
Hey,
now,
you
that's
ain't
what it comes.
been
That's
on your
proposal.
game right now. You need to.
Accountability.
I think you can do this. I think you
That's
can do
right.
better.
That's right. That's right.
But it's about your delivery, and it's
Mhm.
about seeing things in people sometimes that they can't see in themselves.
I love that.
You know, there was a story. They talked about John Singleton and Ice Cube.
Okay. Yep.
And when Ice Cube was acting in the movie Boys in the Hood,
Yeah.
you know, John Singleton had told him, "Hey, man, like if you can write rap lyrics like this, you
Then you
actually
can
can
do
you
this."
can write movies."
Mm.
And so he took that word. He didn't thought about it like that.
Yeah.
But John Singleton, rest in peace, brother,
Yeah, that's right.
saw something in him that he didn't see in himself. And now you look at
Who he
Ice Cube
is.
and what he's doing now, man. These
Right.
guys are, you know, they come into life one way,
Right.
That's
and
right.
then now they're sitting and doing there. And I
Right.
love hearing him talk about that with
Mhm.
the word that somebody spoke to him, or the thought that he planted, that seed, and now that seed was cultivated and watered and germinated. And that's what I try to do to people.
Yes,
I
sir.
try to see the best in everybody, and I really want people to do well. Man, I don't want to wish any ill will
No,
on anybody.
man.
I mean, that's my
Absolutely.
true nature. That's my heart. I probably get that from my grandmother.
I get that.
Now, don't get it twisted now.
Yeah, that's like, you still from Tennessee. Yeah.
There's another side of me too that I don't necessarily know folk want to see neither. But I'm just saying, the desire is for you to win.
Yeah.
But you just don't come and get checked.
Don't
and
let the
correct.
soup
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't get checked.
Okay,
Yeah.
Yes.
I did play linebacker,
That's right. That's sweet tackle still there.
Come
and
on.
I love to hit people.
Ooh. We'll pause it right there.
Doctor is crazy, but this is why I love him, man. I mean, the true authenticity of who he is just so beautiful, man. And if you're getting encouragement from this, I hope that you're pulling and extracting the wisdom, because these are real strategies.
Yes.
Not just a conversation, not just a top level, but some things that you could take back and look at and say, maybe I should be thinking more about this in my life. Maybe I do need to pay attention to the words that were spoken over my life. Maybe I do need to question my own intentions.
Yeah.
Am I a supportive element? Am I really trying to set up platforms? That's what this platform is. Aspire Higher with Charles and Yvana Bailey. The whole premise is to set up platforms where we can accelerate leaders in business and sport. We're trying to create a means to get people like Dr. Jamil and others an opportunity to use their gift and express their gift to inspire people like you.
Yeah.
And we're hoping that you would take from this the same thing. Maybe you need to approach, or rather say, redefine your approach to what your mission is and define what that is. What's your vision? See and celebrate what you have on the inside of you, because you have value to give.
That's right.
Man, this is so rich.
Beautiful.
I love chatting with him. I hate that we have to go, because I know that he's a busy man. But Doc, before you go, is there any place people can find you? I know you're a keynote speaker, you're a coach, and you also have a platform where you consult. Is there a website or any place that you want to derive them to?
Yeah, so www.strategictransitionsadvisors.com is the website. I'm also on LinkedIn, so you can go to LinkedIn. That's where we do a lot of my business. Is there, and then soon to come, there's going to be, obviously Instagram pages, Facebook, and some other social media. But again, you can go to LinkedIn. You can look at Strategic Transition Advisors. My LinkedIn personal page is at Jamil Northcutt, that you can see soon. It'll be at Strategic Transitions Advisors page that you'll have. So again, you can reach me there. And so feel free to visit the website. Check us out. We're going to be around. We're gonna make our rounds. So
we got some things we got to do together.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
Yes,
absolutely.
sir.
And so I also encourage you guys too. I didn't get a chance to give you guys a shout out. Charles is, you see the book behind him. He's written a great book. I've had Charles come in to speak to our players. He does a great job. Him and Yvana have got a great platform where they're really trying to do the right thing. As they're starting out and doing certain things. So I encourage people, man, to support them, what they're trying to do. His book is really rich. There's some really interesting points in there too. I didn't get a chance to talk about me reading. There's a part in your book where you guys talk about knowing your worth, and saying no to things.
Now, Doc, we got a few more minutes. You got a few more minutes now. You can talk about it.
Well, let me opine, okay? So it talks about the essence of saying no, and not saying yes based off your abilities, but your yes is really based off of your destiny and where you're going. And I felt like within your book, that's just a rich point, because there are things in life when you're starting evaluating deals and opportunities, things that you feel like you want. Sometimes you got to start thinking back, is this taking me towards my destiny?
Yes,
exactly.
I think that's a really good point that you guys make in your book. So again, much love to you guys for what you're doing, and I just speak the Lord's blessings over your life.
Thank you so much, Doc. Wow. Well, I hope that you are as filled as we are, being in this great man's presence, who he's trying to be and become. You know where to find us, aspirehigherlife.com. Just as Doctor has said, of course, we're keynote speakers, we're coaches ourselves. We would love to come inspire, motivate your team, executive leadership team. And if you just need to connect with two good people who are sincerely interested in who you are and who you're yet to become, we are here for you. Again, aspirehigherlife.com. We'd love for you to get our book, The Flight of Your Life. It has been republished. Woo-hoo! under our own private publishing label. We are
Yes.
again setting up platforms for authors to be so that you can tell your story. And Doc, I want you to know that you are a part of that, because that one word you spoke to me has now opened up doors for other people, and it will futuristically, I'm speaking as well, open up doors for people to tell their story and inspire others, but they'll have support
Come on.
that they needed to do it and get it done.
That's it.
Again,
Awesome.
talking about
Awesome.
seeds,
That's
man.
it.
Jeez. Well, until next time, you know where to find us. Subscribe, like, share, and please go check out Dr. Jamil Northcutt. You'll have the website right here where my hands are. And of course, LinkedIn if you'd like to check him out there as well. Until next time, this is Coach Charles.
And Yvana.